welcome to my tutorial series. Remember, if you're enjoying this tutorial series, to hit the subscribe button so you'll get alerted when the new tutorial comes out. Now, today we're going to be looking at how we can create interactive objects you can pick up and store into an inventory and switch out with other items that you're picking up. Now, this is probably going to be a two-parter. And firstly, we're going to look at just getting the items in our inventory and switching them when we interact with the other items inside of our level. So let's get started. Okay, so what I've got here is a regular third-person template, and I've also put these tables into the level. And now you don't really need them. I've just put them there because I'm going to put the item you want to pick up onto them. Just to make it a little bit more grounded. And that's all I've got really, so let's get started with actually building the interaction between the items and the player. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just actually going to go into input, actions, and I'm going to make a new input. I always find it easier just to duplicate an existing one, such as jump. You don't want to use the move ones, but jump's going to have the same effect as interacting. So I'm going to call this interact. And then I'm just going to input the IMC default and open that up, add the mapping, add the interact, add a key, and I'm going to add a controller as well. So just add that and add a controller. I'm just doing that very quickly because we have covered that on other tutorials and it's mostly easy to do. And with that, we've set up our interaction. Now the next thing I want to do is actually create the objects. So I'm just going to go to content, right click, make a new folder, and call this blueprints because it's going to be a blueprint. And for the assets, I'm just using the ones from Kenny. I'm going to put a link to that up on screen right now. And you can see that I've just imported them and they're just there for reference really. You can bring in any mesh you want. I'm not really going to cover how to import meshes in this tutorial, but maybe I'll look at doing one of those in the future. So with all the meshes and the food items imported, I'm just going to go to my blueprint folder, right click, go to blueprint class and create a new actor. And I'm going to call this BP underscore base pickup. Now, the reason I'm doing this is that it'll make it more reusable if we do it this way and actually have a base object that we derive everything from. So every other object will be made from this. So if we open that up, I'm just going to dock that window. And if I go to default scene route and add a mesh and pick static mesh, then I can select that and I can change static mesh to be one of our food objects. Let's pick a bottle of ketchup, for example. If I compile that, I'm just going to go back to third person level and just drag it out just to see in the scene if it's a good scale or not. That's all right. It's a little bit big, but I think that's all right. So with that, what I'm also going to do is go back to our base pickup and just add to the default scene route a collision, and I'm going to use sphere collision. And one more thing. If you just go back to the static mesh and actually look for collision, and at the moment it's got collision preset set to block all dynamic. Just set this to no collision. Now it might seem a bit counterintuitive, but basically when you interact with the object, you don't want to hit, say you put this on the floor, you don't want to hit into it and get stopped by it. You only want to interact with it. So that's why the sphere collision's there. And I think that's all we need to do for the moment with that. So if we just go back to the third person level, and obviously I've got my item there. Now what I want to do is create a interface so that when I interact with this object, the player can talk to it, and any other objects that are in the level. So this sort of circumvents us having to call a particular class, even though we've got our class here. It'll make sense a little bit further down the line. So if I right click and then look in blueprints and look for this blueprint interface and just add that, and I'm going to call this BPI underscore interact. Will do. I'm going to open it and I'm going to make one new function, and I'm just going to call that remove item. And what that'll do is when we actually interact with it, we'll just remove the item so it's not visible anymore, and it'll be essentially stored in your inventory. Let's just go back to base pickup. And we're going to add that interface. So if you go up to the top here, it's class settings, and just get rid of my filter there. You should scroll down to the bottom and see interfaces. If you open up interfaces, now we're not getting an inherited one, we're getting implemented one that we just made. And where it says add in the drop down, just search for the BPI underscore interact and add it. And that's done. Compile and save. So now we've got basically the pickup almost set up. What we want to do now is go into our character and actually make it when it interacts, it'll pick up that object. So if I go down to third person, blueprints, and open third person character, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click. In fact, I'm just going to zoom in a bit. So just right click in this empty space, and this is for IA underscore, and we've got an interact that we made earlier. Just expand that because we want to get this started, not triggered. And then what we can do is pull off from that and search loop. So if I search for loop, and we want a for each loop with a break, so that one with the break in it. Now why we're using this is when we find an object that we're going to pick up, we want this to stop, we don't want it to continue. So I'm just going to move that over there, and what I'm going to do is right click and search for overlapping. And what we want to do is do get overlapping actors, and just drag that there. And we want to plug the overlapping actors into the array. And for the class filter, now we could set the pickup that we made, but like I said, I want to make this more expandable. So I'm just going to use an actor. So that's any actor in the level it's going to highlight. Now to filter that out, we have our BPI interact that we made. So I'm going to drag out from the array element and search for does object implement interface. And if I select that, we've got a class here that we can select, and that's going to be our BPI underscore interact. So what this means now is that instead of looking for a very specific object, we're now just looking for any object that's got the BPI interact, and that can then talk back to any of the objects we make that have this interface in. So if I'm just pull out from that return value and do branch, now we have our branch, so we connect that up. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a new variable. So if I hit the plus here, and I'm going to just change its type to actor, set it there, and this is going to be our pickup for now. So I'm just going to name that pickup as the variable name, and then I'm going to pull that out and do a get. I'm going to then pull out from that and search for get class, like that, because I want to get the class of this object. And then what I'm going to do from the true is look for spawn and pick spawn actor from class. And now you see why I got this get class, because I'm going to connect this to the class there. And also what I'm going to do is just from this array element that we added to the does object implement interface, a tongue twister, pull it out again and search for get actor transform, and I'll just place that there and connect in the transform to our spawn transform, and I think that's it for that. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to get our pickup and do set pickup, but what we want to do is get the array element again, the one that we've spawned, not spawned, the one that we're overlapping, and just put that in there. And we'll just do that to make it a bit neater. Double click and pull that string down. Connect that up. And the last thing I want to do is again just get this array element, remove item. And you'll see the BP interact here that we made. So we want that one, remove item, and connect that up. Now, that's everything we need apart from I need to compile and save that. And what I'm going to do is just clean this up a bit. So I'm going to just add another redirection there for our node. Come on. It really doesn't want to pick that up, does it? There we go. And what I'm going to quickly do is go back into our base pickup. And what I want to do there is go into the event graph. And you'll notice down the side now, because we added that interface, we've got a new function basically. And that's our remove item function. So if I right click and do implement event, we'll get this new special function with a little blueprint icon above it. If I just drag out from that and search for destroy and just destroy the actor. So essentially the reason to do that is that you're picking up a new item, so you don't want that item to then be there visible on the table still. You want to put it in your pocket, or well, the character's pocket essentially. So that's why I'm doing that there. And one last thing in third person character, we did mention about this for each loop with break. To make sure that we don't keep selecting other objects, we're just going to connect this remove item node back into the break. I'm just going to double click here and add some reroutes. And that's all you have to do. Now, if I just go over here. And if it hit play, we should actually see it all working. So if I run over there, I picked up that item now. But obviously, with one item, there's not really any point because you can't really see what's going on. It's not like you're swapping an item with another one. So we're going to make a couple of other items. Now that's really easy now because, well, we've got this interface and we've also got this base pickup blueprint class. So if I right click, make a new blueprint class, instead of actually just making an actor, I'm going to look in this all classes for our BP underscore base pickup and hit select. And I'm going to call this BP, I don't know, let's have a pizza. BP underscore pizza, and I'm going to open that. And what I'm going to do is just change the static mesh, search for the pizza, and there we go, compile that, and as easy as that, I've now got another item I could pick up. The pizza's actually quite a bit big, so what I'm just going to quickly do is go back in there and make that 0.7 for all of them. And now if we go there, we can pick up that pizza. Equally can pick up the ketchup, and we put the pizza back down. So essentially we've made quite a flexible system at the moment with our actual blueprint interface and our blueprint class, which means we can just carry on making like new objects. If I quickly make a new one, you'll see that. If I search for the base pickup again, quickly make that, select it, make that one, I don't know, bread. Open it up, switch this to a piece of bread. Again, might need to make that smaller or bigger as you need to. I'll just make it that big for now. And I can put it on that table over here instead. So now we've got basically as many pickups as I want. I can quickly make them and you can make your character pick them up. So that's really it for this tutorial. But what I'd like to do is make it so instead of just the objects seemingly vanishing and you've got no idea what's in your inventory, I want to try and make them appear as on the interface as actual items that are visible. So you know what's in your inventory, and maybe you'd be able to swap between items and potentially use them. But we'll look into that in another tutorial. But that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.